Welcome to another scriptural study. In fact, a scriptural astronomical study, where once again, we will be utilizing the process of scriptural discernment. Yes, utilizing all of the witnesses of light, preparing ourselves to prove the first day of the 12th month. Yes, the 12th new moon day. From our Father of Lights. Yes, YaHUaH, the only self-existent one that provides us a celestial clock and calendar to tell time. More specifically, the appointed times of YaHUaH. And based on the large amount of requests to focus on three subjects, we will be, number one, exploring the fully restored new moon witnesses based on Psalms chapter 89, verse 37. Again, we forecast because it's a form of prediction, some future event or condition, if you will, usually as a result of study and analysis of available pertinent data. So again, the pertinent data is the perfect witnesses of light from above, as we read in Jacob or James chapter 1, verse 17, with the sun, moon, and stars. And this is why we forecast. Subject number two is the light on a lampstand witness. Yes, the lights provided to us are not at the horizon. They're a light on a lampstand, high in the Shamayim or the heavens for all to see, just as our Messiah YaHushua stated in Matthew chapter 5, verse 15. They do not put a light under a basket, but on a lampstand. So we're going to go through that based on the many requests. And finally, category 3, how the moon rules the night with the stars and those witnesses that are behind it, as we can read in the book of Tehillim, or Tehillim as some pronounce it, or Psalms chapter 136, verse 9. So let's get started in these subjects, because the request has been to fully explore the restored new moon witnesses. And in order to do this properly, please stop the video at any time to ensure that you're focusing on all of the scriptural and astronomical information being shared. And as always, ensure that your computer monitors or mobile phones are configured to a full view or full screen mode for obvious reasons. The requests in these three categories for this study are based on the many thousands of people out there that are finally realizing that the moon greeting the sun at sunrise is not the end-all, do-all witness to determine new moon day. Hallelujah, people are realizing that there are 8 total witnesses of light that we can actually measure, and we can forecast in advance. More importantly, we can go outside and test and prove each and every one of these 8 witnesses in creation. So in this summary spreadsheet for the first day of the 10th month, which occurred on the pagan day of Tuesday, January 18th, many people realize that the moon greeting the sun at sunrise does not work for everyone everywhere. It's a great witness, no need to discount it, it's one of the 8. But again, it's not the end-all, do-all witness that regrettably and erroneously many are attempting to install. And there is no reason for that. And there's no reason we have to drive 10 miles to witness a moon greeting the sun at sunrise. Remember, the lights are lights on lampstands. They're high above in the Shamayim for all to verify when new moon day is, let alone Sabbaths and feast days. Here's the example from the first day of the 11th month summary, which that new moon day commenced at the dawn on the pagan day of Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. And again, as we can see here, the moon did not greet the sun at sunrise everywhere on that day. So let's get into this study and put this to bed once and for all, because according to his promise, we wait for a renewed heavens and a renewed earth in which righteousness dwells. Well, what is the righteousness or the restoration of all things being discussed here? And here it is in very simple English language. When people add or take away from all of the available pertinent witnesses of light, we call this the vicious cycle. And the vicious cycle is when somebody just takes one star or utilizes just the sunrise or the sunset time period. This is adding and taking away from all of the pertinent available data. And as a result, they cannot establish when new moon day is. But what does it produce in a group of people? An ardent warmth of feeling, typically expressed in eager, zealous support or activity. Regrettably, though, this approach creates bad actions, bad seeds, and bad results, and thus why new moon days, let alone different months, are presently being proposed, when in fact you can prove scripturally, astronomically, etymologically, historically, and archaeologically why the next month is not a 13th month or the next month is not the first month. We are heading into the 12th new moon, the 12th month. But the vicious cycle produces this type of confusion because they're adding and or taking away based on a warmth of feeling, typically expressed in eager, zealous support or activity. So we're going to get into this because this is very important in regards to the process of scriptural discernment. So let's get into the first category based on the many requests, why we explore the fully restored new moon witnesses, as this 1 out of 8 witnesses provide some great value. So here is the forecast of exploring the pertinent available data or witnesses of light for category 1. So in column G, as you can see, for these 4 locations on Earth, Honolulu, USA, Barrie, Ontario, Jerusalem, Israel, and Perth, Australia. I chose these 4 locations. We track 12 every month, but I chose these 4 for this particular scriptural study video to show how this can be done everywhere on Earth. So as you can see, column G is the starting point of when the moon becomes 100% fully restored or 100% illuminated, the midpoint, and then the end point. So let's talk about the midpoint. Anyone can achieve this or retrieve this information just by going to timeanddate.com, and under moon phases, you can see your what they call, regrettably, a new moon, which is a crescent, and then the first quarter or first half, there's the full moon column, third quarter, etc. So as we can see, the midpoint in my area, they're saying, will be at 3:17 a.m. on the pagan day of March 18th. And here it is, right there, 3:17 a.m. right there on the pagan day of Friday, March 18th. Now, this witness does not determine new moon day all by itself. It's just one witness that's available. Why not use it, right? So at the end of the day, that's how I get all of those data points. And as you can see, here are those 4 locations. Let's move on to the start and finish time. So I'm back again, and for this exercise, we utilize various programs. In this case, we use WLC, or the World's Last Chance Calendar View. It's a great program. It provides the dawn, sunrise, sunset, dusk, moonrise, moonset, and it has a feature that allows you to understand by minute when the moon becomes 100% illuminated and for how long. So in my area, for my hometown, it states 10:31 p.m. Well, where do I get that from? Well, as you can see here, it's 99.9% illuminated in Barrie on the pagan day of Thursday, March 17th at 10:29. But what happens if I go up? Boom, there it is. At 10:31, it turns 100% illuminated. That's where I get that data point. So column G is all from there for all of the locations. Anyone can do this on their very own. Okay, so when does it end? We know the midpoint in column H from timeanddate.com. Well, let's find out the end point. Well, go to the 18th. If it turned 100% just before midnight on the 17th, let's see what it goes to. And as you can see, I'm dragging the cursor over to find out when it stops being 100% illuminated. It's a great program. Many use it, and at the end of the day, it's something that we've been using for quite a long time. And as you can see, by 8:24 it goes to 99.9%, and by 8:23 is the final minute of its full illumination, and that's where that data point comes from, right there. for my area. So we do this for 12 locations all over Earth, representing all of the time zones. These particular 4 locations capture all 4 time zones all over Earth. So it's a great view. So that's where that information comes from. And check out why it's called a steadfast witness in Psalms. Each location, regardless where you live, for this particular new moon day on this 12th month, which will commence at the dawn on the pagan day of Friday, March 18th, 2022, is 9 hours and 52 minutes of full illuminated light. Now, some people say it only happens for a minute, some say 3 minutes, some say 5 minutes. Think about that. If that was the case, you'd go to a conjunction moon in less than 15 days. In fact, you'd get there in about 2 to 3 days. So obviously that's not true. So great program. We verify this same information with other programs, QuickFace Pro, Stellarium, etc. We do not utilize just one program. We also check and verify what man provides, because man is only measuring what YaHUaH provides. This is not man-made data. This is from YaHUaH. So again, that's this piece of it. Let's take a look now at the dawn and sunrise time periods in relation when the moon greets the sun at the dawn and or sunrise, shall we? So we're back again, and this time we're utilizing the program called Stellarium. Let's focus again on my home area, or where I reside, because notice on the pagan day of Thursday, March 17th, the day before New Moon Day, at sunrise at 7:27 a.m., the moon will greet the sun at 0.85, just under 1 degree above the horizon. 1 degree, right there. It's greeting the sun at sunrise, as we can see. But it's not New Moon Day. Why? Well, the moon has not been fully restored yet, and all of the other witnesses of light, yes, all 8 witnesses of light, are utilized to establish the matter of New Moon Day. Not sunrise, not the dawn, not a fully restored moon, not where it rises or where it sets. Again, when we establish the law, we utilize all the witnesses. That balance, that process of scriptural, wonderful discernment. But regrettably, some people will have you focus on just this one witness when the moon greets the sun at sunrise. And some people have actually been influenced. We've heard to drive anywhere from 10 miles all the way to 30 miles plus to see this. Remember, the moon is a light on a lampstand. You don't have to do all these crazy things to determine New Moon Day. But if you use just one witness, if you allow someone that is presumptuous to rule over you, then you will be caught in some of this craziness, this chaos, this snare, if you will. So anyways, as you can see, it's not New Moon Day. The next day, the moon will greet the sun. And it is definitely New Moon Day because the moon is now fully restored and so forth. There are other witnesses, and we'll get into that. Take a look at Honolulu. The moon does greet the sun on New Moon Day for the first time. It doesn't in my area. It greets the sun the day before New Moon Day. So again, it's a great witness, but it's not the end-all, do-all witness, as some regrettably, erroneously claim. Again, they want to rule over you. On this YouTube channel, we share the witnesses. What you do with them is between you and the Father of Lights, like it is for me or anyone else. Take a look at Jerusalem. It greets the sun at sunrise for the very first time on Friday, March 18th, New Moon Day. For the 12th month. It does that there as well. But take a look at Perth, Australia. It doesn't. It doesn't greet the sun until the following day on March 19th. So obviously you can't have New Moon Day in my area on March 17th. You can't have New Moon Day on Saturday, March 19th in Australia. It doesn't work. So rather than trying to divide everyone, why not utilize all of the witnesses of light to see what unites us all together on the proper New Moon Day? How is that for a novel idea in regards to utilizing all of the witnesses of light that our Father of Lights provides? That is the purpose of this YouTube channel. That is the purpose of forecasting. And again, this is only the forecast. It's only 50% of the effort. The other 50% is getting outside and proving all of this. So again, stop the video at any time. This worksheet will be provided in the description box. And again, we highly and extremely encourage people to forecast. More importantly, though, get outside with a camera to do photograph and film footage of all of this. And that's the beauty of forecasting, because you know in advance where to look and when to look. You're not scrambling. And thus, you can tell time, the appointed times, from our Father of Lights. So that's this witness. And again, now we know why it's steadfast. Let's get into the other witnesses, shall we? And really dig into this a little deeper for this upcoming 12th new moon. Yes, now let's get into category 2, the light on a lampstand witness. By reviewing the approximate time period of the second and third watch, yes, that midnight time period, let's see what the sun, moon, and stars do there, all the way to the dawn. Bokar, Shakar, yes, Shakar and Bokar represent the dawn etymologically from a scriptural standpoint. We've gone through this with so many scriptural verses that it's locked and loaded. It's irrefutable. It's absolute truth. Astronomically, it's empirical truth as well. But again, this is what happens when people do not learn from the only teacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a Berean study student. So what did our teacher do in regards to starting his day? Well, if we read the book of YaHUaH in our John chapter 8, verses 1 through 5, and I'll only quote verse 1 and 2. And YaHUaH went to the Mount of Olives. And at dawn, after he stayed at the Mount of Olives, and at dawn he came again into the set-apart place, the temple. And all the people were coming to him, and having sat down, he was teaching them. Again, they went to the tomb after his death, towards the dawn, after the Sabbath. Again, will you come to the Messiah YaHUaH at the dawn? And again, and I keep repeating the words and again, but they're there. When you know the witness from the first, second, and third watch, getting into the highest point of the Shemayim, the night before New Moon Day, all the way to the dawn, it provides wonderful astronomical information. Yes, those perfect witnesses of light are amazing. So let's go take a look at those now for those 4 locations on this particular sample for this upcoming 12th month. So we're back again, and here is a view from, again, where I reside, my hometown. And the moon, the night before New Moon Day, 31 minutes after midnight, the time period between the second and third watch. This is the highest point of illumination for this time period at 180 degrees to true north. North being Polaris, right here, the North Star. So again, 180 degrees. Now notice on the worksheet, 31 minutes after midnight, column R, from stellarium, as we can see here. And notice the moon is 99.99% illuminated. So this is the night before New Moon Day. It's a great witness. Everyone can see it. And all the way from this time period to the dawn, you can see this moon ruling with the stars. This is why we utilize this witness as well. It's a great witness. You do not need to drive 10 miles, 30 miles to see the moon greeting the sun at sunrise. You can do this anytime from the second, third watch all the way towards the dawn of the fourth watch, the start or commencement of a new day, scriptural day at the dawn. So as you can see, the moon and the sun are only 4 minutes apart. What does that mean? The night before New Moon Day. What does that mean? Well, the moon is passing the 180 degree mark. Now, we don't use meridian lines. We don't use international date lines, etc., because you can't see them in the Shemayim. They are irrelevant. YaHUaH did not build his celestial timing piece around meridian lines from man, let alone all of the rest of the stuff that man has created. So again, you can measure this with your fingers. It's true north, 180 degrees. Anyone can do this on Earth. Now notice the closeness between the moon hitting its 180 mark and the sun obviously would be at its 0 mark. And if we go to 27, 0 degree mark, There it is right there, 0 degrees. The moon hits it at 31 minutes after midnight. Boom, 180. So 180 degrees to true north, 0 degrees to true north. Now remember, that sun, that greater light, is high noon in Asia at this time. The moon was made for appointed times because it's a light in a lampstand. And the sun knows it's going down. The term down in Scripture is entry point. And if you know YaHuaH's writings, you know that the sun is in a certain location or entry point revealing the 12th month, just like the sun will be in the Mazeroth known as Aries, with the star known as Hamal or the Lamb for a first month. This is not happening right now, is it? This is why it's a 12th month. Pretty basic stuff. But again, if you don't use all the witnesses of light, you wouldn't know this. It would not even cross your plate. So look, it's only a 4-minute difference for that night. On the night of the pagan day of March 16th, 1 hour and 30-minute difference between the moon hitting the 180 mark and the sun hitting the 0 mark. 43 minutes on the pagan day of the 17th. And the night before New Moon Day, as you can see here, 4 minutes. It's a great witness. The following day, 50 minutes, they start to spread. And then on March 20th, the third day of the 12th month, an hour 37. And it keeps climbing. And then it decreases again, as we can see here. So this light on a lampstand witness is fabulous. Take a look, 13-minute difference in Honolulu. The days before, much higher, and the days after. It's a great witness. Again, take a look at Jerusalem, Israel, 12 minutes, where the other days have a greater difference. And then 22 minutes in Perth, Australia. If you're looking to see what aligns us all together as one for new moon days, look at all the witnesses of light. Do not discount any of them, including this one. It's a great witness. So again, we do workshops in this simple subject matter. If interested, please reach out to us at our email address at family1@rogers.com at a time of your convenience. Alrighty then, that was category 2. In a very brief description, but we believe everyone gets the point on the value of category 2. Moving on to category 3, and before we do that, remember, it's finding the discipline of balance. It's not looking for one witness that's the end-all, do-all. It doesn't work like that. Nothing in life works just with one witness. This is why we are told to look at many witnesses in the plural form. And again, we are presently aware of 8 witnesses with the celestial clock and calendar of YaHUaH, so we utilize them. If any of you identify an additional witness that's of value, that's repetitive, and we can use month after month, then we will certainly include that measurement and forecasting and then take pictures and photographs of it. Again, we're done with the vicious cycle of trying to be right, learning and worrying about who is right, because it's impossible. But we can take all of the witnesses into the virtuous cycle and have that balance of discipline to be virtuous, to determine new moon day for everyone, everywhere on earth, to determine what is right over and above the crazy and silliness of the competition of who wants to be right. Again, just share the witnesses. What people do with them are between them and the Father of lights. So let's get into this a little further, into the category that we call category 3, when the moon rules the night with the star witnesses, as it shares in Tehillim or Psalms chapter 136, verse 9. Yes, we utilize all of the Mazeroth, but we have made a conscious decision not to share the artwork or the lines, the man-made lines. And again, it's a wheel within a wheel, wheels within a wheel, as per Ezekiel, the prophet, and his writings. Ursa Major goes around the North Star in 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.09 seconds every day. It has its cycle, an inner wheel. The moon and the sun have their cycle. And then the Mazeroth move in a counterclockwise fashion. It's wheels within a wheel, if you will. Again, we don't utilize constellation art anymore. Why? Because there used to be only 13 original Mazeroth. The word Mazeroth is constellations today, and in the Greek, zodiac. Ironically, the word zodiac means the way. So there were only 13 original Mazeroth. Regrettably today, due to Babylon, Greece, Rome, etc., there's 88, of which 42 now are named after animals, 29 inanimate objects, and 17 of them human mythological deities or characters. And why we believe in the book of Romans chapter 1 verse 22 through 23, claiming to be wise, they became fools and changed the esteem of the incorruptible Elohim, the Father of lights, YaHUaH, into the likeness of an image of incorruptible man, and of birds and of four-footed beasts and of reptiles. So there's no need for this, obviously. So yes, we are fully aware of all the Mazeroth, and we understand the stars in each of them. But we focus on the scriptural stars because it's inarguable. Anyone can see them, anyone can view them, anyone can photograph them. But we are aware of all of this because we have studied this out and continue to study this out in resources such as this, because the heavens do indeed proclaim the esteem of the Almighty YaHUaH. So, here is the night before New Moon Day, that same visual I shared just recently with the moon being at 180 at 31 minutes after. And as we know, the moon rules with the stars. And we know the stars at the upper part of a Mazeroth called Bethula. Regrettably, it's called Virgo today, the Virgin, but it wasn't. Bethula is a maiden. So that's another scriptural study. Here you will see Denebola, you will see Elzania or Zavijava, Zanya, those stars. We'll get into that in a second. Again, YaHUaH appointed the number of the stars and he gave names to all of them. The challenge is learning the original names. If you think it was difficult learning the name of the Father, YaHUaH, because of the world religion you were brought up in and how they usurped it and stole it to terms like Lord, God, Adonai, etc., let alone the Messiah Yahushua's name that was regrettably usurped with Jesus Christ and other names, Jesus Christos, etc., wait till you get into the star names and how much humankind has attacked that. And it's regrettable. But again, we are very well aware of the pictures, and we don't share this anymore because when you go outside, it's a stumbling block. You don't see this. So we study the stars. And we also got rid of the lines. Now, you can make these lines up in your mind when you go out there. You can see Ursa Major like that, and that points to the North Star right there. There's the Little Bear, and so forth. You can learn all of this on your own, but we don't use these lines anymore because it causes confusion when you're out in creation with a camera, filming and photographing and testing and proving. So it's better to learn the stars individually. Now, we did utilize all of this very early on, over a decade ago. But the moon will rule with the stars, and in this case, on a 12th month, it's always in proximity to a star known as Zavijava. And what is Zavijava, if you may be interested in? It is from Al-Zawiya, the angle or corner, the hind leg of the lion. In China, it was Yu Chi-Fa, the right-hand maintainer of the law. Richard Hinckley Allen's research from 1889. Zavijava probably derives from Al-Zawiyah, from Dr. Eric Morse, 1988 research. If you dig into it a little bit further, you start to find out the second star close to it that it rules with in proximity on a 12th month is a star known as Zanya. Zanya is the Eta star of Virgo, the Virgin Bethula maiden, refers an angel, the angel of YaHUaH by Jim Cowler's work. In China, this star was the left-hand maintainer of the law. So this star was the right hand, this was the left hand. And just to the westward is the point of the autumnal equinox, which the Chinese knew as Yi Moon or Tuan Moon. So again, they knew when it was the 12th month as well. And again, you can read this in Richard Hinckley Allen's work from 1889. If you get into this name Zanya a little bit more, you'll start to see a YAHsome appears on the 6th century BC onyx seal discovered during the excavation of the Tel and Nasbeh site. And you can get into the archaeology. And you'll start to learn that in the Strongs, this name, or the entry from Strong's Hebrew 245, literally means YaHUaH hears or YaHUaH listens. So there's tons of information that you can get into, but this is what we do. We draw out the scriptural stars on every new moon day and feast days and Sabbath days, and we get a pretty good handle on what they're doing. So by the second and third watch, the midnight time period, more specifically 31 minutes after midnight, and by the dawn, it will be new moon day. Notice, if you went out in the first and second watch, you would have seen in the west, you would have seen Pleiades, which was Kima, Orion, and Cassel. But by the second and third watch or midnight time period, they go beyond the horizon, including the morning star. But everyone on Earth will see Denebola, which is the second brightest star in the zodiac constellation of Leo, or tail of the lion, or as some say, line of Judah or Yehuda, or Al-Sarfah, the changer, example of the weather. Some believe that this 12th month is a heads up saying, okay, the next month is going to be the true spring. The magnitude or visibility of this star is very bright. It's 1.89. And again, you have these other stars up here, the left hand and the right hand maintainer of the law, Zavijava and Zanya, which have a lesser magnitude. The higher the number, the harder it is to see. But if you know what you're doing with cameras, you can pick these up as well. So again, Ursa Major will not be seen by everyone on Earth, but Arcturus will, and so will Spica in the east, while these stars will rule the whole night through with the moon, from the start of the first watch all the way to the dawn, the fourth commencement or the start of the fourth watch, and then the sun starts to rise and you lose the visual or visibility of the stars, if you will. So this is pretty basic, and again, this is why we are 1,000,000% comfortable that it will indeed be New Moon Day commencing at the dawn on the pagan day of March 18th. But wait a minute, you might be saying right about now. Take a look at Australia. Yes, they will see the same stars that the moon will rule with. There's Denebola right there, and there's Al-Zavijava and Zanya right here. They will see that. And they will see Orion. They won't see the Seven Sisters or Pleiades. They'll see parts of Ursa Major, but not the North Star down here. They will see Arcturus, and they will see Spica in the east. So again, if you take off the constellation art, you get good at it after a while. You start to be able to pinpoint all the stars, including North Star and all the rest of it, Orion over here, and so forth. You don't need the lines either. Okay, you can use them for preparation purposes, but at the end of the day, after a while, you'll get so proficient at this, going outside, you'll know where to look, even in Australia. So don't let someone tell you that you only got to use one Mazeroth or one star or sunset or sunrise alone. Why not utilize all the witnesses of light? The Father of Lights gave them to us, and as we can see, for everyone on Earth. And take a look at Perth, Australia. 1 minute after midnight, it's at its 0 degree mark. It's inverted. And the sun is at the 180 mark. And it's with the same stars all over Earth. Again, there are people out there that are going to try to wig you and dupe you into submission, telling you that the next month, the 12th month, is actually the first month. They won't succeed, and they'll do a song and dance, what we call the Johnny Carson two-step, and letting you know that I'll only use this one Mazeroth. Meanwhile, you utilize all the witnesses of light available with the sun, moon, and stars, plural. You'll catch on to this after a while, what's going on. And you have to have compassion, sincerity, scriptural love for these folks. They're doing their best. But here's the punchline on this. They're actually forecasting now. We know of some people that have basically judged us for over a decade. Don't use any forecasting tools. Don't do it. Only to find one by one, year after year, they come on board. Forecasting is not evil. These tools are available. Use them. In fact, after a while, because of these tools, because we weren't trained originally with the sun, moon, and stars, you'll be proficient outside. You won't even need them anymore. But again, don't let anyone lie to you, please, for your well-being, that you can only use one Mazeroth to determine the first day of the first month of Abib, or any month. Again, use all of the witnesses of light. Be at peace. Yes, find that peace that only can come from YaHUaH, our Father of Lights. Remove yourself from the vicious world cycle. Move into the virtuous cycle, learning what's right for everyone. You'll be glad that you did. So again, we are fully aware of the 88 constellations. We are fully aware of the 13 original Mazeroth. Again, we do what we do for certain reasons now, scripturally, and focus on these scriptural stars. We understand the rest of them, but our scriptural study videos will remain in this path for obvious reasons. So again, it's a wheel within a wheel, wheels within wheels, if you will, counterclockwise, with Ursa Major being in the center, the sun and moon doing what they do in their prescribed, predetermined cycles, let alone the Mazeroth that move. So we're going to attempt to do other studies on this. And again, it is not the first month coming up. It's the 12th month. Because in the first month, the sun is with Aries. All historians and historical records prove this, just like we can prove it today. The Jewish historian, Flavius Josephus, and if you like his writings translated by William Whiston, states that in the month of Xanthicus, which is Nisan, which is Abib, is the beginning of our year on the 14th day of the lunar month when the sun is in Aries. For in this month it was that we were delivered from bondage under the Egyptians. So yes, Abib is when they had the Exodus. Now, the sun is in Aries in the first month of Abib. The sun, the greater light, is not in Aries right now. So it is indeed a 12th month. And there is no coincidence that when the sun, the greater light, is in alignment with Aries, which the middle star is called the Lamb, or in Arabic, Hamal, the moon, full moon, fully restored moon, will rule with the star known as Abib. In fact, it'll rule in proximity between two stars in the Mazeroth of Bethula, Spica, and the foot of the preacher. And we'll get into that a little bit further. And that's the first month of Abib. So history shares that. The Greek astronomers knew that the first point of Aries was the start of the year, or the cusp of Aries, as they would call it. And they knew about the 13 constellations, or zodiac, the way they were fully aware of that. Again, this is kindergarten stuff, but people try to usurp it. Look at the historical records. There are many books out there like this one. It's one of my favorites, by Emily Plunkett, called Calendars and Constellations of the Ancient World. And again, Abib refers to the star known today as Spica. And this particular resource has tons of information on page 167. Even Boy Scouts know better. This edition in 1911 went over Ursa Major and its two sons, Arcturus and Spica, and how it could be used for time, let alone direction, navigation. So again, this is like really basic. But then the end-all, do-all for us is Moshe's writings, and why we must guard the month of Abib. Remember, every world religion and those still associated to it, whether it's conscious or unconscious, they ensure that you don't guard the month of Abib, meaning that the death and resurrection of the Messiah, YaHUaH, the only sign given to us, the sign of YaHUaH, people usurp this as well. So don't be surprised. And by the way, if you're going into your the 12th month as the first month, you will end up doing Shavuot before summer. So again, really basic stuff. The Book of Jubilees, chapter 6, verse 23, taught us the 4 divisions of the year and how the feasts of YaHUaH, the writings of the first 5 books of Moshe, ensure that they're in their proper season, the appointed times. So again, very basic. We cover this in this scriptural study video. A restored moon is full moon, and trumpets on a light is a light on a lampstand. So that's category 3. In fact, all 3 categories. Prove all things. Not just one thing, but all things. Yes, the workload can be laborious, but this is what it means to find the discipline of balance and to leave the world's vicious cycle to move into what we call the virtuous cycle that produces good actions, good seeds, and good results. So, part of that virtuous cycle is taking your forecasts and going outside and taking photographs. Now, this is a 5D Canon camera. Very expensive, and I don't know how to use it. This camera is very difficult. You need to learn all of the settings and the rest of it. But if you do know what you're doing, you can get every star that we talked about in this scriptural study video today. But again, I have not increased my skills. My better 3/4 uses this one. Then there are the iPhones. And the new iPhones have great technology and cameras on them. Use that. In the virtuous cycle, forecasting is one thing. But getting outside and testing and proving it, taking photograph and film footage, is indeed the end-all, do-all. It's the wonderful part. And after a while, you won't have to forecast as much because the repetitiveness, the steadfastness of the sun, moon, and stars, let alone the moon, you'll learn very quickly. So this iPhone is very good, but again, a little more expensive, right? I don't have a 5G or smartphone, if you will. I have a cell phone that has a camera. It's a Samsung, under $100 Canadian. And I use this. It doesn't pick up the stars all the time. It certainly will pick up Abib, Spica. It certainly will pick up Orion on occasions. It will pick up Arcturus. But some of the other stars, like Zavijava, Zanya, it won't pick up. It'll pick up Denebola, but it will be blurry. You really have to have a device to keep it still. So again, the best device for people like me at my stage of learning is one of the iPhones, especially after the iPhone 10 and iPhone 11. So that's an iPhone right there. That does really well. So again, don't worry about having to purchase big sums of money for devices such as this. And finally, if you don't want to take film and photograph footage, that's okay too. If you just want to visualize it with the human eye, even better. When we guard the month of Abib, let alone every other full moon day, new moon day, let alone Sabbaths, feast days, etc., again, this is for you, between you and the Father of Lights. So if you don't want to take photograph and film footage, no worries. If you just want to visualize this, shamar, guard if you will, great. Again, in the workshops we cover that pride is concerned with who is right, humility is concerned with what is right everywhere. So this is why we rise before the dawn and cry for help. And we cover all of this in the workshop. So please reach out to us at family1@rogers.com if interested. Because our only teacher, the Messiah YaHUaH, went to the Mount of Olives. And at dawn, his practice, again and again, going into the set-apart place at the dawn where his taught ones were coming to him. And having sat down, the Messiah YaHUaH teaches us. Yes, we rise before the dawn, and Shua, Messiah YaHUaH, he cried out to his Father for his deliverance. We cry out for help at the dawn. We Shua at the dawn. So anyways, this particular scriptural study We hope you've enjoyed it. Again, the restoration of all things is all about utilizing all of the witnesses to establish the matter of new moon day, Sabbath days, and feast days. Do not add or take away with the witnesses of light, and don't let anybody else do it. Don't let anyone, especially presumptuous ones, rule over you. Remember, the world hides and divides with its world religions, but the Father of lights and all of his witnesses of lights unites. So, as we close this study out, these 3 categories are only 3 of the total 8 categories available that you can forecast, let alone look at. As time goes on, we will speak more, YaHUaH willing, about the moonrise witness and its directional value, let alone the moonset witness and what that does for us all over Earth and how that unites us as well. There's far more to this, and why wouldn't there be? YaHUaH is awesome. So we continue to call upon the name that these scriptural study videos provide value to you and your loved ones. So until next time, may the Messiah YaHushua be in everything we say and do. Have a YAHsome week, everyone, and thank you.